realize we have something in common.
Sounds good.
That's the deal. Just so that people get to know you off stage.
Great.
Hey, everybody. Hi. Where did I put myself this time? Okay. I'm still learning things. Welcome to Comic Spot, everybody at home. I know a lot of you like to come after the fact. You know, that's cool. Do I have lipstick on my teeth? Yes, I do, probably. It's all right. It's okay. It's fair because you probably don't have clothes on. So whatever. I love bringing you guys comedians so you can get to know them off stage and behind their masks. And I said that before the pandemic. So, you know, I wish that the pandemic would quit stealing my lines. It's the first time I thought of that. Never mind. I want to let you guys know today is a special day for me because our guest, her name, she's over in that other square. Her name is Donna Joy. See, she's friendly. She comes across well on stage. Yeah, she is something to be. She has been around this scene and other scenes, and you're going to love her. And I get to read her intro and interview her, so you will get to know and love her too. I've gotten to know her in real life. You just get to know her virtually, so know your place. Just kidding. Hey, I have to do something to entertain myself. This is it. You're welcome. All righty, here we go with her intro. Donna Joy. Places that no, that's the second half. Let me go to the beginning. I've yet to do one of these intros perfectly. Here's my comedy bio, she says. I moved to Vegas in 2018 from San Diego. Lived in San Diego 45 years. Worked in advertising and marketing since the 70s. Earned a BA in advertising, MA in organizational management, and a doctorate in education. I had to really think to say that. I don't know if you can tell. I was very involved with community theater and was always a big fan of comedy clubs. She saw Robin Williams at the La Jolla Comedy Store before he rocketed to fame. When she retired, she thought it would be fun to learn stand-up comedy craft and considered it her good fortune to take classes. And here we go with somebody I love and know, Don Barnhart's Comedy Writing Institute in 2019. If you don't know him, you're going to hear about him too today.
Yes, you
are. Her personal launch, and she's been enjoying stage time ever since. She says, I love everyone I've met in comedy in the community and stretched my legs in both San Diego and Vegas. My goal is to become a cruise ship comic and, of course, try for AGT. Oh, man, don't you love her already, you guys? Give it up for Donna Joy. Woo! Hi, Donna.
Thank you.
So nice.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, Linda. I couldn't have said it better myself. Very good.
Oh my gosh, you always make me laugh.
Well, you know, I always made a lot of students laugh, so I figured the next step would be comedy. Yeah, because part of that bio also includes that I taught advertising and marketing for about 20 years at the Art Institute in San Diego. So, you know, and copywriting was part of the curriculum. And when I was in advertising, that's primarily what I did. So it didn't really seem like it would be a big stretch, you know, to go into comedy writing. It was just another form of creative writing. And as I said, I've always been inspired by great comics and, you know, said, well, I'm retired, so I could do whatever I want. And I did. So
that's so beautiful.
Yeah, I came to Vegas.
Well, this show isn't about me, but just so you know, I was a corporate trainer, career developer, and I wrote curriculum that got accredited by banks. So we have that in common.
Excellent. Yes. You know, and so much of comedy, you know, can be educationally based because, you have to understand your audience. You have to, know who they are, and know what appeals to them. That's really the basis of any kind of advertising communications, is being able to connect with a specific market. So it's just fun. And, being of a certain age, there's a lot to say. We've seen a lot, that has transpired over the years. I went from mimeograph, copy to, digital print. So it's just been an amazing journey. And I'm having just so much fun doing it. Just so much
Yes.
fun.
There's a there's a special way as a comedian of a certain age to be relatable. Have you found your wheelhouse in that groove?
Being relatable as far as
I find that when I'm listening to you, that the answer to my question is yes, but I wanted your opinion on yourself. I feel like when I'm watching you, you're a woman of a certain age, I'm a woman of a certain age, and I feel like we've both found our own little way to be relatable to the young. Do you want to speak to
yes,
that?
yes, absolutely. I admire so much of what the younger generation is going through. And I try to understand their humor. But in trying to understand their humor, you get to understand them, and taking a look at all the dynamics that have shaped their experiences. So the best you can do is share the experience, share the experiences that shaped your viewpoint, and try to connect that, because there is a human connection there. Regardless of what age period you're going through, there is still struggle, there's still anxiety, there's still humor, there's still things to be satirical about. There's still things to point out ironies. That's all the same. And what I really love about the younger generation is how accepting they are of an older viewpoint. I mean, I have found myself to be very well accepted, possibly because I did spend so many years in a college classroom, so I've already built those kinds of relationships with the younger group. But they're so accepting. I remember, when we were in that age group, anybody over 30 was like, you know, right? You don't
Yes.
trust anybody over 30 was our motto, right? They were part of the establishment, this type of thing. And it's very, very different. They're very open and inviting, so I just love that. And I think that's what keeps you young. I think that's what keeps you young. Young ideas, young thoughts, and young experiences, that basically, keeps you young, keeps you on your toes. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, can I go back in time? Can I get a time machine and a DeLorean real quick and go back to young Donna growing up? This is what
Okay.
enters people love to hear where you came from and what
Well,
were you like and what made, so I
okay.
want to go down memory lane to any degree you want to answer. So you
Sure.
don't have to be real fast, or you don't have to go into detail either. It's totally up to you. And you can skip a question. If it's not in your wheelhouse, you don't want to talk about it,
No,
just say next
it's,
question.
it's
Because I've got
perfectly fine.
I always
Perfect.
got questions behind questions.
Yeah, it's
Growing
perfectly fine.
what?
And I'm originally from New Haven, Connecticut. Okay, so I was raised in the 50s and 60s in Connecticut. Um, and the way I try to explain it, and some of the things that I try to bring out in my act when I talk about being Italian, because I am a full blooded East Coast Italian girl. And no matter how long I spent in San Diego, you can't take that Italian girl out of me. I mean, that's it. So when I explain to people about my past or my upbringing, I tell them to watch the movie A Bronx Tale. Remember the movie A Bronx Tale with Chaz Palminteri and Robert De Niro? Well,
No,
if you want to know about my past, that's the movie to watch, because it
I'll watch it.
basically was my neighborhood. you know, and it was an urban neighborhood, blue collar, middle class. We always had the guys in the neighborhood. And I always thought every neighborhood had the guys, you know, but they didn't. But these guys were there. They were overseeing things in the neighborhood. You know, they were, you know, bookies, and they were hoods and, you know, whatever. But I loved them, you know, because they were always nice to me. So, and that helped formulate, you know, that type of viewpoint on the world. You know, that like the world, it has that Italian bent to it. But when I was 20, I moved to San Diego, and I was an Arthur Murray dance instructor. If you,
What?
yes, I was an Arthur Murray dance instructor. I really wanted to be a professional dancer, but I'm too short. Okay, I'm just really too short to be a showgirl, and that's one of the lines that I have in my act. Because there was only two places that you could really go to be a professional dancer, and that was either Vegas, of which I'm too short, or you'd go to Broadway, of which during that time there wasn't a whole lot going on in Broadway, and New York was not quite the New York that it is today. So I really didn't want to live there. So I ended up going into ballroom dance, got hired by Arthur Murray's, married my dance partner. We had a job offer to go to California, and it was either Glendale or San Diego. And my husband at the time opened the map. He said, "Close your eyes and point." And I did. And it went on San Diego. And that's how I got to San Diego. That's a true story. We just packed up our 1972 Gremlin and drove out and came to San Diego, and I stayed there ever since. I just loved it. I mean, San Diego was just a marvelous place to literally grow up in, because that was all of my adult years, and watch that city basically build and transform and become the place it is today. But it was really quite beautiful, and it's quite extraordinary. I was in the dance business for about 10 years, and basically we ran and managed our own studio for several years. And that's how I eventually got into advertising, because I was in charge of the promotions and sales and the ads. So when it came time to transition, I transitioned to advertising, and the rest is history. So,
well, talk to me a little bit about your advertising. That's interesting.
it is. I mean, it was really so much fun. And again, it was in the Wayback Machine. And, you know, I actually started as a sales rep. I just started selling ads for a newspaper. It was a local newspaper called La Jolla Light. So I worked in La Jolla, and I just got very intrigued by advertising. I started taking a look at the ads that we would create at the newspaper, which in those days, you know, you took a picture, you had your typeset, it had to be pasted up on a board, it had to be shot. I mean, it had this whole process. I mean, today, of course, you just do 1, 2, 3 with your computer, and your ads are done. But back then, it took 2 to 3 days to create an ad. And I would see the ads that the newspapers would create, and you know, they were good. They were good ads. You know, they weren't bad. But then I would see ads that would come in from agencies. And the agency ads always look so much better. And that kind of piqued my curiosity. So I would go to the agencies and make appointments with the different reps and things, and sit there and ask them how they did it. You know, how do you do this? And I would just start asking questions. And before you know it, I just got I fell in love with the industry. Went to school, earned my degree in advertising after that. And so I worked with the La Jolla Light, then I worked with the La Jolla Magazine. I developed my own little company for a while. Then we got into video production, and so there was all types of things that we got involved with. And then we started doing training tapes when 3/4-inch tapes came along, and they had portable equipment, and it's very exciting. And again, like I said, it was during a time, by this time it was in the 80s, mid 80s, late 80s, and San Diego was really starting to take off in terms of development. So there was a lot of work to be had. And we were just busy, and we were just right and left. There's all kinds of developments going on and all types of training requirements that was needed. And well, you must, I mean, if you did corporate training, you were probably involved at that level because corporations went crazy with these training venues. And yeah, so we did a couple of sales training tapes and things like that. So I mean, it was just one thing always led to another, and you just keep growing with it. And so, and I see a lot of that in the comedy field. Because one thing seems to lead to another. You know, you just keep building and you keep progressing and you keep moving forward, keep making connections. You network like anything else, and things happen. And when you have a community like we do here in Vegas, you know, as far as the comics are concerned, it's everybody's so supportive and so helpful. So yeah, I love it. I love it. So it just seems to be a continuation of the same path that
I
I
see
followed all
that.
my life. Yeah.
It is a continuation. Another thing we have in common, as you spoke, I realized that we have one other job description in our wheelhouse. I also sold newspaper ads.
There you go. See, yeah, there's something about you there, Linda. I knew. Where did you sell? What did you sell
I
for?
sold in Borough Park and Park Slope. I sold not Borough Park, but it's where there's a lot of Puerto Ricans that live in Brooklyn, just
Uh-huh.
south of Park Slope. I can't remember the name of it. Sunset Park and
Okay.
Park Slope. And the two demographics couldn't be more different. And every day, half of my time was in Sunset Park and half was in Park Slope. It was crazy. Do you
And
have
what year did you?
that was in like 1988, kind of fresh off getting a brain injury. I was there with my daughter and a beagle living and trying to carve out a living by selling ads to either people that really couldn't afford to keep their business open and then very ritzy people who could afford anything.
Well, it was very interesting being in La Jolla because it was pretty similar. Everybody, of course, La Jolla is kind of like the Beverly Hills of San Diego. So it's very up, you know. And so businesses were always trying to move in. And most of my business, my advertising business, were businesses were moving into La Jolla and about 6 months later going out of business. So it was just this never-ending cycle of that. But it was a great learning experience, and you know, wasn't a bad place to be hanging out. You know, in La Jolla, so that's my old stopping grounds. Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have a favorite story from your advertising days where you were able to use your creativity to help a company thrive or survive?
How to thrive or survive.
Or your favorite people you met while trying to help their businesses grow, or something they said that floored you, like a death in the family, but they kept the business going, or anything you
But
remember?
there was a couple of really interesting stories when I always love telling this story because I almost didn't make it in advertising when I first started out because I had this one client and she was running a 6-week campaign, half page. Oh my God, that was like fantastic. Okay, what a fantastic order. So I did everything I could. I paid every attention to detail. I just made sure every nook and cranny, all the spelling and the leading and the type and the picture, everything was just perfect, perfect, perfect. The one thing I forgot to do is I forgot to put in the insert order. So in other words, when you put in the order, right, you have an ad, you put in an insert order so the paper can reserve the space on the page. I forgot to do that. So the day that the truck went out to go to print, I looked and my eyes just like, oh my God. I ran back into the graphic department and there was my ad sitting on a piece of cardboard. They got pasted up and it just went nowhere. And I just, so I thought, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to be fired. I'm never going to make it in this business. The publisher at the time was very, very nice. And she said, look, she goes, mistakes happen, accidents happen. She knew I was new, but I'd never, ever, ever missed a deadline again. It was like one of my first experiences in the business, my first mistake. Never again did I miss a deadline. I was always 2 or 3 days ahead of deadline. And I would tell my students that story when I was getting them ready for the industry. Always make your deadlines 2 or 3 days before it needs to be done. And then that way, and if something happens, you're ready for anything that needs to be changed. I think probably some of the most rewarding pieces that we would do would be public relations or public service announcements and things like that. And I was able to work with some of the chargers. At the time, it was Seau, Junior Seau. He would do a lot of PSAs, for the local community. That was always a lot of fun. And also Tony Gwynn from the San Diego Padres would do PSAs, which was also fun. And also, just one more thing, if I can just keep elaborating.
Please, this is your time.
This is my time. Well, how much time do we have?
I can go another 30. You get to talk.
Oh, good. There was one time when we did a commercial it was a public relations project. And we were producing a spot for the Bill Collender campaign, who was running for the San Diego sheriff's position. And there was a problem with the recidivism rate in the jails. In other words, do you remember there was an ad with the Dukakis one time about, the inmates coming out and, they were scaring the public, and that basically was created havoc for Dukakis's campaign. Well, it was the same kind of information where criminals were being let out of the jails. So they came up with this concept of the jailbird. And the jailbird concept was we had this big cage and we had to put in pigeons in the cage. And the idea was they open the cage door, and the pigeons would fly out. And then a hand would come and close the cage and say, Bill Collender, for sheriff, blah, 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 and all that stuff, stop the return, Bill Collender. Okay, great. Well, guess who was in charge of getting the pigeons? Me. I had to go to a farm someplace out in the East County in San Diego, and there was a bird farm, and I had to buy these pigeons. They were like $5 a pigeon or something, and I had 2 big cages of pigeons. Now think about casting for a pigeon, for this. Yeah, you had to have these nefarious looking pigeons, a little gray, a little, maybe a little scruffy, put a little do-rag on their head, do this kind of thing. So we bring them into the studio. And we put them, it was an inside studio, we put them into this big cage, and we open the door and we let the pigeons fly out. Well, we're in a studio, okay? So we have to now collect the pigeons that just flew out. So we had butterfly nets. And we were catching the pigeons with the butterfly nets. We had pit helmets on it. I mean, it was incredible. It was so funny. And we're catching these pigeons, we're putting them back in the cage. Well, after a while, we'd open the door, the pigeons wouldn't move. They wouldn't come out. It was just, we're shaking, trying to make, exactly, I'm not going out there, they're crazy. It was hysterical. It was just hysterical. It was 8 hours of just nonsense. We finally got the ad put together. They got it all on film. They treated it with this blue hue, made everybody look, and Collender got, he got elected, and we were at the, celebration, after he was elected, and he was like, that's right, I'm the Pigeon Lady. If it wasn't for me, yeah, that type of thing. So, you have all of these stories, with advertising. It's just you think it's so glamorous, and you just run around with the helmets on your head, catching. The after story is that we, at the end of the day, we just set all the pigeons free. We just set them, we just set them free, and they flew out and into their glorious freedom. But there were 2 pigeons that mated and actually created a nest on the top of the building. And they lived happily ever after. So it was a nice ending to the story.
That's hysterical. Oh my gosh. Let me go through some of the places you performed at.
Yeah.
Let me go 1 second while I make my finger do the walking. She says the places that she's performed at are Jokesters, Delirious. These are all major clubs here in Vegas. Jokesters, Delirious, Bonkers, at Rampart, Bonkers Hamburger Mary's.
That was a fun stage.
We have to talk about that. I think we have a connection in common there. Rick's Rollin Barbecue.
Which I'm going to be, yes, I'm going to do my plug. I'll be at Rick's Rollin Barbecue Wednesday, the 13th. Yes, this Wednesday. So come on down. Free admission. Great barbecue. Good laughs.
Yes. If I can make it, I will. I'm not sure about my schedule. I go one day at a time right now.
Well, I hear you.
Let's talk about each of those clubs one by one. And then I kind of want to start with your very first time on stage and people that have helped you, giving a shout out. But for right now, we just named 4 clubs that you performed at that are big clubs. Jokesters Delirious, and Bonkers Rampart, Bonkers Hamburger Mary, and Rick's Rollin Barbecue. So talk to people about those 4 venues, whether they're a comic or not. Tell them about those, if they're still in existence, what that was like, the differences of them.
Yeah, well, I really have to give great kudos to Don Barnhart, who was running the Comedy Writing Institute. He had a great little format there at his place that really got you prepared for the stage. And I've always told him he was a natural educator. He taught me so much about joke construction and performance and things of that nature for stand-up. He ran Jokesters, and he still runs Delirious. Jokesters, I don't know what has happened to Jokesters. It was running right up and through, I think, the spring. So he will probably be looking for another location for that. I'm not sure, but I've had a chance to see him recently at Delirious because he booked me again at Delirious.
I saw that.
Yes, yeah, that was fun. So much fun. And it was really, I really give him a lot of credit, for being my mentor and my support as far as growing my comedy and helping me see a direction for my comedy. And of course, there's the other promoters are really fantastic too. Steve McAnally, for one, is one that really started booking me from right off the start. He is a real great proponent and supporter for new talent. And he just likes having a good time. He just likes you to kind of go up there, have a good time. It's a great venue. I think it's a little bit more, how can I put it? It's a little more casual, where you just go in and it's a barbecue place, and there's a bar and the barbecue, and it's a very kind of like down home kind of feel to the place, which I really, really enjoy. So I have to give, my hat off to him, little shout out to him. And of course, Bonkers was also very generous in giving me stage time at the Rampart Casino and over at Hamburger Mary's. And I was supposed to be in Pahrump right before the pandemic, right before everything shut down that week. Everything got shut down. So I don't know what's happening to Bonkers yet. I can see where they have some stages, but they look like they're mostly in Florida now. So I don't know where they are here in Vegas. We'll
Okay,
see.
so I have to interrupt you with a special note from someone that we both know and love. And I didn't know she knew you until I put out a post and she clicked like. You know, my coach, my mentor, my very first person in comedy that believed in me, Gladys Simon.
Oh my God.
You know
Yeah.
Gladys?
Yeah.
I adore Gladys. She says what's on her mind, and I don't mind that when people do that. I love her to pieces. And so she clicked right to a post, and I was like, I have to ask all if I there when anybody is connected through Gladys Simon, it's like we have camaraderie because she builds a trusting, helping environment. Have you found that to be the case? That other people that know her?
Yeah. I mean, how did you work with her? I mean, I've never worked with her, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's in New York and she has a room at Comic Strip Live. Are you aware of that? You are? Okay. There's a room at Comic Strip Live that's called the Gladys Simon Room.
Okay.
And recently, Jerry Seinfeld spent $1 million of his dollars to renovate it for her.
Oh, okay. So, she's not a very big fish, right?
Yeah, she doesn't prefer to do the hard work of being a comic. She's a writer. She writes sitcom stuff, and she's a mentor. And so she makes connections. She can get you booked. She can introduce you to people. She can get people to listen to your tapes. And that's the kind of person she is. She does it out of the goodness of her heart. And so they've given her the room at in the Gladys Simon Room to have what's like a developmental open mic where you pay to go on stage, $14, but it includes two drinks. And so you get your money back, but the club has to have something to stay alive. And you go in there, you do your stuff in front of her. And she's gotten Jeffrey Ross his fame. She's gotten, like she has a list of clientele that she's gotten to the level where they could go on without her. And she prefers that. Anyway, so I was right. I had ratings. Yes, Gladys. I was writing jokes on Facebook. I was like road rage. I was too scared to actually flip people off in public, so I'd get in my car. That was what Facebook was like for me. I would just say whatever. And I wound up getting like 100,000 likes.
Wow.
Yeah. Now it's like up to 300 or 400. Who cares? They don't even tell you anymore. So, but when it hit 100, the people at her club put me in touch with her, and she invited me to come out and do comedy in front of her. Nobody in Portland, Oregon, where I was from, I started in Marietta at Ace's Comedy Club, right above you. The day that my daughter and I quit speaking to each other, I started comedy because I wanted a reason to live. In Marietta, moved back home to Portland and started comedy there. After my daughter and I were for sure not going to mend our ways, and still haven't. So that was like 7 or 8 years, 2014. But when all these jokes started getting into, so I take the train and I perform in front of her. Nobody in Portland, whenever I went on stage, Donna, all the comics would go out for a smoke break.
Oh no.
That's how bad until Gladys believed in me, and she said, quit bringing your notes on stage, quit memorizing, quit recall, like trust you're funny. Right. I didn't trust I was funny.
Right. And the same here. Again, having a background in theater, it was mostly memorizing a script and just repeating the script and putting the character in those words. But comedy, it's your words, and it's getting comfortable with that. And I had to kind of wean myself. I write my material, I have my script, but I was always so afraid to veer off of it, not sure And now I've gotten to the point where I can just move all around and then ad lib and then build from there and have that security, like what you're saying, that you are funny, and that point of view is shared and that point of view brings laughter, and that's, I think, the whole key to it all is just making that connection to bring laughter, making it funny, making somebody, just burst out in laughter. That's, I think, and anything that I've seen on any kind of comedy, that's really the focus. That's really what the goal is to share that laughter. That is like the big payback. That's the payoff, for it all.
So here's a question for you. You're not one of the sneaky, underhanded people in comedy. There are those in every city. There are people who like to say little things to get under your skin or be jealous and say negative stuff that isn't even true. You stay out of the fray of all the goings on. And I adore that about you. You're just purely there in the moment, doing your comedy, loving people.
That's right. There's no room, believe me. I have, again, haven't been in the dance business, haven't been in the advertising business. You know all about that. You know all about the egos. If I see an ego coming at me, okay, fine, I'll address it and I'll sideswipe it and then just not get involved. Because there are certain things, because it's not going to doesn't do anybody any good, and I just enjoy people. I mean, I'm here to, enjoy myself, and I'm not here to, but again, like I said, I really give so many of the comics so much credit because I see how hard they work. And I can remember those days of hustling, when I was in the dance business, the hustle was really big, and we'd say the hustle, it's more than a dance. So, and I see that happening and I appreciate it. But I'm not here to pass judgment. I never have been. Never was like that in the dance business, was never like that in advertising. There's no reason for me to be like that here. And it's always proven to serve me well and serve the people that I serve well. So that's it. Just I think you develop that, over the years. Yeah.
So I want to go back for a minute to Don Barnhart.
Yes.
So having done a tour, I was in the Army, and he does the USO tours. He's done many of them. He's probably back out doing them. He does ship tours and he runs some major clubs from different ones from time to time because clubs open and then they close. You know how that goes. But
yeah.
I think so highly of him, and I never went through his courses when he was offering them. But as a human who cares about our troops, past, present, and future, he's a mensch to do what he does.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think he's one of the hardest working people in theater that I've met. He's constantly working and he's constantly developing and he is consistently available. Even if it's just a passing word of encouragement, he's there to give it to you. And I appreciate that about him very, very much. And some of the comics that also work with Don are very much like that. They kind of emulate that same feeling and that same positivity, which you have to, like you just said, I mean, you have to continue with because there are people that will, seek to, for whatever reason, disparage, the things that you have to say or do. I just appreciate everybody's efforts.
Absolutely. Yeah. It takes a lot of guts just to try to do this job,
It does.
And like any little thing that anybody's doing right needs to be celebrated. Just because they don't yet know their persona and have the tightest set doesn't mean they're no good and not worth listening to and not worth encouraging.
That's right. That's right. And I try to. I try, and it might be, part of the educator in me, and well, like for instance, I'm very impressed with what, Sean Fitzsimmons with
Yes.
Fitzy and Friends. Very impressed with the work that he's doing. And I just can't help but, each time I go, because I go to his shows like about every Tuesday now down at Artiface, because they're always very well put together. And he's a very, uh, he's consistently supportive and he always has a good word to say. And I think he's building a good repertoire of comedians. And I think he's very well respected. And I told him that, just a couple of weeks ago, what a good job he was doing. And again, the educator comes, I don't know, it's the educator or the maternal side in me because I don't have kids. So I basically have this maternal side that just kind of oozes out every so
Yes.
often. And I just told him, how proud I am, of what he's doing.
There's so many people that give out compliments for the wrong reason to
Right.
bookers, and when it's real, they know the difference. I'm
Right.
sure he knew you meant it.
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah. And we go back a little, because we took Don's classes as well. That's where I first met him. And so, I appreciate what he's been doing. And it's a lot of work, to put a show together every single week.
Yes.
It just doesn't happen.
No.
And he does get good quality comics, And I'll be at Fitzy and Friends November 30th.
Awesome. Do you have that on this list I'm going to put out?
I didn't put it down because it's kind of down the road, but it'll be here soon enough.
October 30th?
November 30th.
November 30th. Thank you.
Did I put October 30th? Probably.
No.
No.
I just heard it wrong. I put Ditzy and Friends because I'm ditzy. Sorry, Fitzy.
Fitzy and Friends, whatever.
I'll fix it before it goes out to the public. Oh my gosh, I love Fitzy and Friends productions. Oh my gosh, you never get people that are up there that don't know what they're doing. I sometimes, everybody is on their own course, Donna. But I really enjoy, if I'm going to go to a club that charges people money, I want to go and relax and not sit there and go, oh my gosh, there was no setup. Oh my gosh, that was a very bad triplet. I don't want to analyze. It's like watching a bad ice skater sometimes, when you watch 2 or 3 in a row that are bombing at a show. If the show isn't well produced, then they're not hiring the talent where you can sit back and enjoy the show. I like going to shows where like Barnhart, where you can sit back and know everybody's going to hit it.
Right. Everybody. Yeah. Well, giving a shout out to Wiseguys as well. That's another club that's just emerging, just coming onto the scene. I'm really having a lot of fun with them because what they do is you have to email them to get on the list, and they have 30 comics that they give 3-minute sets to. And some of the comics say, well, 3 minutes, that's hardly worth your time. But I found it to be a really fantastic exercise, because if you get on every week and you take like 3 minutes off of your set and really condense, it really teaches you it really constricts the time. So it makes you get to the laugh faster. And to me, it's a great exercise. So I love going to Wiseguys, and they do every once in a while take videos of you, and they'll send you a link to the video. So even if it's a 3-minute set, who cares? If you have like these little clips that you can get to, put up on your Facebook or whatever, it's worth it. And I have really seen how it's helped me, tighten up my sets and get right to the joke. This is one of the things that Don would always talk about, get to the joke, get to the laugh, this type of. So I highly recommend, that exercise. And I really hope, Wiseguys really takes off, in the community as well, because they're doing a great job.
That's awesome. What night of the week is Wiseguys?
Wednesday nights. So I won't be there this Wednesday night because I'll be at Steve McAnally's, but but I usually, get up on each Wednesday down there, and the show's at 7:30. So it's the show effectively is 7:30 to 9. And if you're not on the list, you could still go down and they'll put you on standby. And quite often they get everybody up, but like you said, you can see people work with their material. Most of the people have their material pretty well set. You do have some newbies, but you can see them grow each week, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of chutzpah, to get up there and do it to begin with, let alone, just getting started with it. So
I love seeing the new comics, when you go to a mic, you expect not everybody's going to be hit because they're practicing,
right,
and that's
right,
different than what you might expect when you go to, I don't know, Notoriety Club. You don't want to see
exactly.
somebody reading their set,
Right. Yeah,
but
but 3 minute, again, a 3 minute set, I don't really see many people taking notes up there. And 3 minutes is 3 minutes, so you could
3 minutes, yeah.
but then again, it can seem like an eternity if your material's not hitting. So
Yes, it does. Those are great tips for people listening. And if you're visiting Vegas, you've heard some great places to go to watch comedy, whether it's a mic or a show. So, go back and listen to this, and you get some tips on where to go where there's really good mics and good shows going on that are
absolutely,
helping comedians.
absolutely. Yep. I love this town.
You do, and I do too. I came here on a visit for Stephen Pearl's birthday. Like,
Is that
I don't
right?
know. Yeah, I just came here on a visit and went in the green room at Laugh Factory,
Uh-huh.
and everybody's my age and they loved me. And like, this isn't like Portland. I'm staying. Came
I hear
back.
you. I hear you. I mean, it's such a vibrant theater community. As I was trying to explain to some of my friends in San Diego this summer, um, I said, what I love about Las Vegas is you could be in a pizza parlor and there will be a stage in the corner with a microphone just ready to be used. It's just like it's stages all over.
It's true.
Every
There's a hip hop clothing store at the Boulevard Mall on the east side of the mall. There's where all these hip hop artists buy their clothes. And in
uh-huh.
the very back, there's a stage
Yeah,
with a
yeah.
microphone.
There's stages all over. I just absolutely fell in love with it. Fell in love with Las Vegas because of that. We have I live in the Summerlin area, and our Summerlin library has got a full-fledged stage. It's got
No
like
way.
300 seats. Yes, I
What?
mean, in the library. I was like, are you kidding me? This is fantastic. And so they have all kinds of shows there and good shows too.
Have you ever done comedy at the Summerlin Library?
No, not yet, not yet, but I have looked into it. But again, a lot of things got pushed back because of the pandemic, and it's going to take a little while, I think, to get things, back up and rolling again.
Yes. Well, here we are kind of at the close, but
Okay.
in a minute, I'll have you repeat where you're going to be performing, and I'll have you say your social media. So that's at the end. But for right now, what is something you want to tell people about how you got through life so far, how you got through the pandemic, anything to encourage people in a crazy vakakta mashugana world that's out there?
Well, I'm not going to say I haven't had my bouts with, I've had highs and I've had lows. Anytime that I may have gone through something that was a hardship or something that was depressing, um, to me, the best thing to do is to move through it. In other words, if you're feeling low about something, don't try to push it away. Move through it because it's a process. It's like grief. Whenever you go through grief, go through the whole process of grief, and you will come out the other end. Okay, and just know that. Just allow yourself to feel, and whether it's good or bad or indifferent, allow yourself to feel it and trust that you will come out the other end, and have another goal. Always have a goal in mind. Like, it's a little joke that what I want to be is a cruise ship comic, but that is one of my goals. So
Yay.
I'm going to be working towards doing that. And I think that would be a fun thing to do in retirement, is just travel, tell jokes, and meet people. I think that would be lovely. So you always have a goal. Always be open to learning. Always be open to learning new things, because that's another thing that keeps you young. It keeps you young in your mind. It keeps you young physically. You just keep pushing forward. Trust in yourself. Allow yourself to feel. Always have goals, and always move forward. That would be my advice.
I
And
love that.
get you going. Yeah.
There you go. That's the secret. And then you too can look as beautiful as she does one day.
Oh.
Inside and out.
55.
I'd love you to say where you're going to be performing and your social media, so people have that fresh at the end. They usually skip to the end for that. And if you want to throw out a Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, if that's a need, or a special place where people can donate if they've enjoyed this, do that as well.
Well, no, they can just log on to my Facebook, Donna Joy at Facebook. It's Donna Joy Time to Laugh 18 on Facebook, but they can just put Donna Joy and they'll find it. Also, I'll be performing this Wednesday night at 8:00, free admission, Rick's Rollin Barbecue, 725 South Las Vegas Boulevard. Drinks, barbecue, fun time. I'll be at Wiseguys the following Wednesdays. And in November, I'll be at Fitzy and Friends on November 30th. So that's what my schedule is so far.
Awesome. So I'm going to look at November 30th. This Wednesday, every Wednesday I'm booked up with Gladys Simon, but November 30th, if I don't have anything planned, that's for me to come watch you and support.
You say it. Fitzy and Friends at Artiface. Right.
Artiface. It's right down off Charleston on the east side, right? West Charleston.
East Charleston. It's in the Arts District.
Oh, in the art, you're right.
Yeah.
Artiface. I had the wrong place. I don't want to say the other place. Okay, great. Super. Oh my gosh. Well, is there anything I didn't ask of you that you would like to say about?
No, I think you've learned a little bit more than I even bargained for.
I had so much fun getting to know you.
Well, I really appreciate the time, and I appreciate everything that you do. Shout out to Linda. Yes. For all of your support and energy and just compliments. I mean, you saw me, I think, the first time at the Comedy Writing Institute at one of our showcases, and you were so kind. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I enjoyed meeting you from the moment I got there. Both you and Erin O'Connor. I got to meet you both.
Love Erin.
And you're just such great gems, solid pillars, stand-up people, not just stand-up comics, stand-up people.
Right on.
That's what we're going for. Awesome. Well, if there's anything you think of that I need to put on the post, let me know. I'll go share it.
All right.
You will share that I shared it.
I will share. I'm sharing.
Thank you.
Linda, you take care.
You guys, get on Facebook and promote her. Thanks, you guys. Bye, Donna. Love you lots.
Bye-bye.